Hi everyone, welcome back to A Dish on Aging. Today is episode 13 and we will be talking about how we should all start thinking about our in-home care needs of the future. Today is March 21st, 2021. Today is the first day of spring, so welcome to spring everyone. Okay, I want to start with some demographics. I'll start with some graphs. Some of you may be familiar with these graphs. Okay, I'll review a very important one from last week, and that is as we get older, we start seeing changes. Normal aging is a decline. And some people are, because of genetics or just bad luck, they're on an accelerated decline. And some people are on a healthy aging or a slower decline, but we're all declining. So as we're thinking about our future care needs, and I'm now emphasizing at home, okay, this had always been the preference of most people that they receive their care at home. Prior to the pandemic, I was always doing plus advantage, disadvantages, plus minuses of where you live, what facility at home. After the pandemic, everything's changed. Facility living, congregate living is now not just because of the pandemic, but for other reasons as well. Some of them are financial. These facilities have become way, way overpriced, and they're not always well suited for seniors, even though they're marketed to be so. So I'm starting part of this Dish on Aging series as I will be talking with the public and all of you about how to rethink our future as individuals, as families, as communities, and as a nation. Okay, so let's start with some demographics. Okay, I'm not sure which graph to even start with. I'm going to start with, I think, the most important graph, which is the dependency ratio. The dependency ratio of every country, and you can look at these by state, it has to do with what percentage of the population is able-bodied working age versus what part of the population is too young or too old. This graph is a little bit flawed because it looks at dependent children between the ages of 0 and 14. And it's a little flawed because it looks at elderly or dependent seniors, anyone age 65 and older. And we know many people over age 65 are still working and they're not care dependent necessarily. But let's look at these trends. Let's look about how things were years ago, the 1950s, the 1960s, how they were in 2010, and how we can anticipate they will be over the next 30 years. The higher the dependency ratio, that means the fewer working age people. From an economic standpoint, this is huge because it means there's a much smaller percent of the population that is trying to financially support the dependents, the children and the aged. So you can see as we move forward in the future, we are going to have fewer working age people out there. We're going to have more seniors and actually much more seniors. That group is going to increase and the number of children dependents is going to remain the same. So very important. We are going to become a more dependent. More people who are going to be wanting to live at home are going to need more help while living at home. We're also going to be living longer. I'm going to show a chart here also that shows how we are working to an older age group, or we're working longer, and also that we're living longer with more disability. These are critical factors, and they're population studies. You know, someone might say it doesn't apply to me. It's general trends, so indirectly this will impact you if it doesn't impact you specifically. Other factors that come up, demographics, I don't have charts for, but demographics are relative to the World War II generation. Baby boomers and younger are much more likely to be divorced, never married, they'll have fewer children or even no children. And also, what I have noticed is that families are tending to be living at a much greater distance than they were, say, 50, 40, even 30 years ago. And also, I'm finding the younger generations are delaying when they're starting their own families. And so, what I'm often seeing now is the baby boomers are now needing care and their children are just starting with their own families. And so, in the same year or the same 2 to 5 year period of time, there are more family members who are care dependent than I have seen before, than I was seeing 15, 20 years ago. So these are important factors because what this sums up to is there are fewer family members who are available to help with home health, to your own home health care needs or any type of care needs at home. So, in response to this, answer to this question, how should I start thinking about my own care needs in my own home? What I recommend you do is you get out a handheld mirror and you introduce yourself to your, I'm going to call it your army of one. Um, you are going to have to rethink how are you going to independently, rather than working in cooperation with other family members, going to set up and provide your own care at home. Now, that phrase, Army of One, may be familiar to many of you. It was used by the United States military, I think it was Army, in recruitment for about a year. I think it was in what was it? I think 2000 even. They almost as soon as the United States Army used that slogan as a recruiting tool, they discontinued it. They didn't use it for very long because they said to refer to an army of one, that takes away from all the cooperation and help you have when you have a grand army that you are becoming a member of to serve our country. Well, because of these aging demographics that I have presented to you, as time goes by, we are going to have a much more aging population than we even do now. We are going to have fewer working age people available to actually do the work. So I want to, I don't know, reapply or reactivate or recommission that kind of marketing tool of the Army as a way to say to each of you, you now need to start thinking about yourself as the army of one who is going to provide as much as your own care independently if you wish to stay in your own home. And I'm assuming you're all going to wish to stay in your own home. Oh, okay. Okay, you all are going to be delighted to hear. I just threw my earphones here. Gamma S has come in with a message she would like to relay to you about this very topic.
Hi everyone, this is Gamma S here. I wanted to share with you something that I learned this week. First of all, something that we've always known. Change the things that you can change and let go of the rest. We cannot change how long we live or how long we work versus when we retire or how abled or disabled we will be at any day of the week at any age. What we can do is learn to change things like I learned this week. I learned how to change the faucet to my kitchen sink. I've never done that before. I had to implement some yoga moves to be able to get under the sink while I was following the instructions that came with the faucet on how to take out the previous faucet and to put in the fresh new faucet. So keep in mind that as time goes by, we may not have control over how much help we have or maybe how much it costs for us to have somebody come into our home to replace something like a faucet. We can't change those things. But what we can do, if it is safe for us to do, we can make an attempt to learn a new skill to be able to change the faucet ourselves. Okay, so remember, Change the things you can and let go of the rest. Have a great week. Bye bye.
Oh, thank you so much, Gamma. Such wonderful words of encouragement and support. And as all my viewers here recognize, you yourself are a work in progress. Gamma and I are trying to figure out how she can get her animation technology together at some point in the future. And we don't know how many demographic uh, how can I say, 10-year increments in the future it may take, hopefully not that long, for Gamma and I to figure out how to get animated technology together so that Gamma will be able to be more animated in her presentations rather than giving us a still picture that she draws herself with audio to provide to the viewers here her thoughts on the topic. So thank you so much, Gamma. I do appreciate you adding your 2 cents in on these very important topics. Okay, so the whole idea of each one of us becoming our army of one, what when it comes to providing our own care, when I'm referring to that phrase, I'm talking about I want everybody to start thinking in terms of being able to live independently and safely on your own at home. And that doesn't mean you necessarily doing everything. It doesn't mean you doing what Gamma does, where she's now learning how to fix the faucet sinks that need repair in her home. What it means is to start thinking about how you're going to move forward where you want to live and to start thinking about where does it make the most sense for you to live. Does it make the most sense for you to sell your home, move to an apartment where you can have a on-call 24/7 maintenance crew that you can call for tasks like that? Or does it make sense? Many people prefer their most comfortable and secure in their own home. Here's what the challenge is. For many of us who own our own homes over the last several decades, we oftentimes have relied on other people for many things. I've had people say to me, I don't even know how to turn the stove on. My spouse has passed. How am I supposed to even think about fixing a meal? And that's one thing. Hypothetically, a woman's husband was a chef, and so she never cooked. This is going to become important if somebody is wanting to live at home. You're going to need to learn, some of you may need to learn new skills. You don't have to become a trained chef. You just might need to learn some of the basics of how to cook nutritious meals for yourself safely. And I think it's important that you start now, at this point in your life, learning these new skills, rather than waiting until, like, let's say you've got friends and family that you get together with regularly. Start developing some of these skills that you may need. The other is begin to start thinking about how you can use daily activities of living as ways to promote your health rather than to put your health at risk. I love that Gamma mentioned to me that she actually started using some of her yoga stretch moves as she was laying back under the sink trying to figure out how to uninstall the old faucet and to put the new faucet in. So she was using it as an opportunity. She was going really slow, taking her time, not causing any risk of injury to herself, and she was trying to figure out how can I safely stretch and bend, maybe get some towels out because it's very uncomfortable. She was telling me when you're trying to, like, under the sink there, trying to maneuver things. And but she was able to do it, and she said she felt really great afterwards because she didn't strain her body in any way. She didn't she was, I don't want to say careful, but she was developing skill and she was doing it reasonably. And she was thinking of this as an opportunity to stretch and to work on building strength as she's trying to hold herself in position with her hands under the sink to twist the bolts in of the new the new faucet. So this is for many of you, this may be a new way of thinking. Many of you may be thinking, oh, I just call my such and such family member for that. I want you to rethink that. It may be an option now, 5, 10 years, it may not. Because anybody who has the ability to take care of everything in your home, that may be the small percentage of the population that's going out to work to bring in the income to support everyone else in the family. So start thinking about yourself, being able to rely on yourself, even to find somebody. Let's say you need to get a new roof. I happen to live in a community where I don't know how it is, the scam artists, they're focusing in on the seniors. I have a feeling that when the non-seniors call the scam artists just say, sorry, too busy, can't talk to you. So part of being safe in independently taking care of everything you need to take care of to run your home is being able to select a roofer who is not a scam artist. So it's more than just not risking your own injury going up on a ladder to try to replace that roof yourself. That's not going to be a safe way to do things, but also trying to learn how to select a roofer who is not a scam artist. I don't even know how you're going to begin with that. I really don't, because I think the scam artists target the seniors somehow and they weed out the younger people. So, but these are things that we're going to need to start thinking about. Also, I want to encourage people to get away from, if you can, gender stereotypes, age-related stereotypes about what tasks. Sometimes uh, we've grown up in families where we were thinking the women do the inside tasks, the men do the outside tasks. Rethink that. When you're still able enough to learn how to safely do things, now's the time to start developing your skill ability to do them. And I know what you're thinking. You can easily hire someone, and you can. One of the biggest challenges that's going to come up with your taking care of your own care needs at home is going to be the exorbitant expense. It's going to start to cost a fortune every time you have to bring somebody in to fix something in your house. It's going to start to add up. If you can go out and get one of those self-propelling lawnmowers and for 20, 30 minutes once a week get a little exercise and make sure it's okay with your doctor you do this, that actually may make a lot of sense for you rather than saying, I've gone my whole life, I've never mowed a lawn, I don't want to start now. Now, for some of you, that's also going to be an option. But what I'm encouraging people to do is to start opening your mind and say, okay, we got these demographics that are coming at us. Think hypothetically. My kids might just not be even starting their families until I need assistance. So I have to figure out how I'm going to take care of this myself. So it's a new way of thinking. Many may have the idea, the blind idea, that because I take care of family, my family will be there to take care of me. Well, there's a reality. They may want to be there to take care of you, but in reality, the intent may be there. In reality, they just may not be able to physically get there or get the time off, or when they have time off, they may be using that to get their own children to medical appointments or their own spouse to medical appointments, and they're trying to work full time while they're doing all of that. So keep this in mind. And again, some of you may look at this, look at your own family and say, this is ridiculous. I'm moving into a facility next week. And for some of you, that may be the option, the way to go. Okay. All right, so that's the summary. How to start thinking about care at home, setting up for your own care, and I'm encouraging everyone to start thinking about you as your own army workforce of one, and try to learn new skills, whether it's how to find helpers, people that can help you with household projects. Oftentimes the internet is used for that. Try to learn how to do that without getting ripped off. Try also to learn new skills. What new skills may you need to know how to do basic home repair that are reasonable for you to do? And just sort of thinking, I think the biggest piece to this puzzle is the rethinking about all the family that are going to be there when you need them. That may be a misunderstanding. Again, the intent may be of everyone. If you were to have a conversation this weekend with your family, they'd all say, Grandma, Mom, don't worry about it. I'll be there. I'll be there. Let me tell you something. During the week when I'm talking to people, the challenge is the very good reasons why the family members can't be there, even though their wish or intent is to be there to be helping out with little things. So while you're relatively young in your retirement and able, the thing to do is look at what skills might you need to learn to be able to live independently in your own home in the future when there are going to be a fewer, quote, hands on deck available to help. Okay, so that's the summary, and I'd like to thank again Gamma S for sharing with us her 2 cents on the topic. And again, Gamma is a work in progress herself as she's learning these new skills. And what a wonderful example she provided to all of us this week. And I look forward to hearing from her next week, even as we're going to be talking about related to today's presentation, if we are someone who is dependent on other friends or family or even caregivers for our own care, what can we do to reduce our burden on them? And that's what I will be talking about next week. Okay, have a great week, everyone. I'll talk to you then. Bye bye.